Welcome. This is a masterclass about why you're successful in life but struggling in love. And so I'm happy to hear that we've got some men on the line and also women on the line. That's amazing. So I will predominantly use the word women, but honestly, Aditya and Umar, this applies to men as well. So I hope there is something in here that you can take away. So my name is Nisha. For those of you that don't know me, I am a self-love expert and a mindset coach. Can you see the chat on the screen?
Your chat?
Yeah. Can you see that or no?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me for those of you that don't know me. So I'm going to close the chat. I talk about high achieving women. I'm a high achiever. I have 4 degrees. I bought my own house, bought my own cars. I wear nice clothes. I drank Cosmos. I was living my best Sex in the City life. A lot of high achieving women and even men, right? We know how to get things done in our lives. And I have spent most of my adult life alone, not by accident, but by spiritual assignment. My spiritual assignment in life was to master the relationship I have with myself. And my love life was a mess, always a mess. Love to me felt very unsafe. It felt inconsistent. It felt temporary. It felt conditional. And honestly, it was never modeled for me. I thought that I had to perform for love and for praise. I grew up being the responsible one in my family, the strong one, the fixer, the one that always took care of everything. And in my love life, I attracted emotionally unavailable men up the wazoo. The role models that I had in my life were not emotionally available, so that's what I attracted. So I became super hyper independent. There's a part of me that's naturally independent. I love that. But hyper independence is when your independence can become a problem because you find it hard to let anyone in and you get exhausted from doing everything on your own. So I learned to do life on my own. So I don't know if any of you can relate to that. So my struggle was behind my hyper independence was a lot of pain that I've had to work through, excruciating loneliness, a lot of numbing. Do you have numbing devices when you are upset or your relationships aren't going well or something bad happens? Are you numbing yourself? Do you emotionally eat? Do you do things? Do you scroll? Do you drink? I put in there, as you can see on the page, I abused alcohol. I've experienced a toxic family system. I was burnt out for 10 years. Chronic pain, a lot of loneliness, and literally just completely disconnected from myself. So the picture that I have up here, I'm wearing a cowboy hat, and I had literally, when I was in my mid 30s, I was burnt out, and on a whim, I decided to move cities. I moved from Toronto to Calgary in 19 days. I quit my life. I just felt stuck because I thought if I change what my outside surroundings are, if I change my city, it's going to change what I'm feeling on the inside. That was the start of my burnout and my struggle. I just didn't know what was happening at the time. This was like 17 years ago. And I can tell you from that long, painful experience, I was there for 6 years. It doesn't work when you change your outside surroundings. It doesn't change what's happening on the inside. You have to do the inner work. So, the biggest one that I've had to learn is that I needed to be chosen to be worthy. That's the karmic lesson I'm here to learn. And the lesson that I've also needed to learn is that I'm good enough. So, I don't know if any of you can relate to that. And so, here's the problem is I was trying to find healthy love. So I use that phrase a lot here. There's a difference between unhealthy love and healthy love. And this is about attracting healthy love. Okay, there's a difference. I was trying to find that from an identity that was built on survival, like from the unhealed version of myself, from all of my trauma, losing a parent, my grief, my loss, all of my issues, my unworthiness, my relationship problems. I was trying to find love from that version of myself, that identity. And I had this voice inside my head that kept telling me I wasn't good enough. And I got sick of that voice in my head. I got sick of dating emotionally unavailable men. I would get into relationships and eventually they would fizzle out because my role models were emotionally unavailable. I didn't know what healthy love looked like. I didn't know what healthy dating experiences looked like. And at one point, I just got so tired of it. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? And so I started to look within myself. And to make a long story short, I rebuilt myself. I built an image of who I wanted to become, and I became this version of myself. And I continue that work every day because when you're on a journey like this, I would love to tell you there's a start and an end, but everything's a journey. So I still do the inner work and I'm still evolving, but really I had to go from being self-held, a person that just held herself, hyper independent. I can do everything by myself. I'm the one that fixes it. I'm the responsible one. I went from being self-held to self-loved, right? To being the version of myself that feels attractive on the inside. And when you do, that energy radiates out, and that's how you're able to find and attract healthy love on the outside, right? It starts from within. And so now I guide women through that same identity shift. And for the both of you that are on the call, the men, this is the same, it's the same thing for you. It's no different. And so, how did I become this version of myself? So, I changed my self image. Self image is what you think of yourself, the image that you have of yourself. Okay. I've become the best version of myself and I continue the work. I became more attractive to myself by learning to love myself internally. Okay. I see something in the chat. My qualifications. So, I am a mindset coach. I have two life coach certifications. I'm trained in NLP and hypnosis. Okay. And I've been a self love expert and a master of self devotion for over 20 years. Aisha, did you have a question?
Yes, I did.
Go for it.
So when you say self-image, is that combining self-esteem and confidence? Or would you say it's just self-esteem? Is there a difference?
They're all very linked, right?
Okay.
When you have an image of yourself, like you have a self image right now. When you have an image of yourself, it's what you believe about yourself. And I'm going to get more into this
Okay.
self image and identity, what I mean by that. But it
Hmm.
is your confidence,
Okay.
it is your self esteem, it is your internal, it's your what you believe about yourself. So if you believe internally, I'm just going to throw out something, I'm not confident. If you look at a woman, say you see a woman that's confident and your first thought is, oh, I couldn't be like her, I'm not that confident. That's your self-image, and that level of confidence,
Ah,
of
okay.
confidence impacts your self-esteem.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a great question. So I mastered my inner dialogue, that inner critic. All of you have an inner conversation. I healed my judgments.
Yeah,
When you
okay.
see somebody that has the love you want or the relationship you want or something else you want, like this is about, I'm talking about your love life, but this really also applies to money. It applies to health, right? Do you judge other people? And it's health, it's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But judgment is a form of, it separates us from love, right? So I had to really heal that because I would look at a woman that had the love I wanted and I would judge her because deep down I didn't believe I was worthy of it or that it would happen for me. My limiting stories, beliefs, thought patterns, and I'll get into this. So I now I script the life I want to create every day. I give myself grace and compassion. I changed how I show up in the world. I changed my friends. Who are you spending time with? Are they people that are aligned with you? Are you spending time with people that you have that make you feel good about yourself? So that this isn't just about who you date, right? Who are you surrounding yourself with? You've heard that phrase that says you are the five people that you surround yourself with. I was spending time with lovely people, but I was doing activities that I realized weren't going to get me where I wanted to be in my life. I changed who I spend my time with. I changed how I spend my time. I used to get up every morning and just automatically turn on the TV and watch news. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with watching news. Most of the news is not great. I don't do that anymore. I have a morning ritual. I have a spiritual practice. I meditate. I journal. I do personal development. So I elevated my standards for myself and who I bring into my life and how I spend my time and how I treat myself. And so I started to attract love from a new identity or self image that's based on self love and self worth and how I feel about myself internally, not based on survival, trauma experiences, or any kind of external validation. So I want to check in with you right now so you can write this down if you have a journal with you, or you can put it in the chat. Which statement sounds most like you? And maybe there's multiple, maybe there's none, maybe it's all of the above. I do everything myself. So this is a lot of high achieving women are like this. So for the guys that are on the call, does any of this resonate with you? I struggle to ask for help. I feel exhausted from carrying too much. I have a hard time receiving support. So when somebody offers help, can you receive that? Or do you feel like you owe them in return? So look, think about those statements, see if any of those resonate with you. Does one resonate, all of the above, or just a couple? Trying to get to I see something in the chat, but I can't see it right now. I'll wait for it to come up. Okay. So the real reason that you're stuck in love is because your thoughts are driving your reality. Your thoughts are the starting point for everything. And I will explain this. And it might not seem apparent to you, but when you start to pay attention to your inner conversation, it will start to make sense. Okay. I've put some examples. Okay. A lot of high achieving women, and even for men, depending on where you are in your life, I'm too old. It's too late for me. Like all your friends are paired off. They're all married. They have kids. There's no one out there for me. Maybe you look at a woman or a man who has what you want and you're like, oh, that's never going to happen for me. There are no good men or women. Dating apps suck. I'm not ready, right? Maybe you're always in a state of trying to be ready. Maybe there's some perfectionism that you just don't feel confident enough. Real love isn't possible for me. I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. I'm behind. I used to say a lot of these things. I felt a lot of these things because my journey was to become a teacher before I really learned what healthy love was. Okay. Now, what the heck is identity? Okay. I keep throwing out this term. What does it mean? I've talked about self image. I'm going to use them interchangeably here. Okay. Identity is who you believe you are. It's a collection of your thoughts, your beliefs, your habits, and your behaviors, your emotional patterns, and your standards. It's how you show up in the world. And like I've said, your identity creates your results. So you think of somebody, for example, that I'm going to use the example of a millionaire as an example, right? A millionaire has an identity of I'm a millionaire, right? They have certain thoughts and patterns and habits that allow them to make money. So they attract the kind of money that they want. If you want to be a millionaire, you can't be in the identity of somebody that makes $30,000 a year, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you need to have the self image and the identity and the self concept of somebody that earns $1 million. So, so if we're taught back to love, right? The version of you that has the love you want, how does he or she talk? Their inner critic, what's your inner conversation? How do you dress? How do you show up? How do you take care of yourself? How do you view rest, right? Who are you? So how are identities created, right? We all have an identity right now. We have a current identity. We always have an identity. And the good news is it's something that evolves, right? Our childhood experiences, our upbringing, our mother and father are huge factors in, especially in relationships, in shaping our love life and the romantic relationships we have with other people and even friendships, other relationships, successes. If you have a success, you're probably really likely to repeat it. If you have a disappointment, the disappointments and the failures are things that stay with you a lot. Life lessons, things that we expect, expectations. And over time, you learn to have your experiences create thoughts. So you have an experience, and I'm throwing out some examples of thoughts. I have to do it by myself. A lot of high achieving women do this, and maybe men, you can relate to this, right? Think about what it means for you. If I do X, I get Y. So I learned early on that because I was not considered, I was the one, I was expected to get good grades as an example. So if I got straight A's, I got praise. If I didn't get straight A's, I got criticized. So I learned early on that as long as I perform well and I achieve things and I make money based on somebody else's standards of what success was, I got love or attention or affection or validation. I got a pat on the back. Can you relate to that? I have to be responsible. I have to earn approval. Men suck. Yeah, Umar, sometimes it's hard. Relationships are hard. How many of you have ever had an experience where you, let me go back to that, where you have a bad experience with someone, and then after that, you let it cloud your judgment, and you're like, oh my God, that's too hard. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
have.
you get
Yeah.
it, right? You carry these things with you. And this isn't just about your love life. This happens with everything, your career, money, your health, right? Absolutely everything. So we learn we have experiences and we think things. And this is the gold formula right here. So the identity formula is this, is we have experiences in life, we start to think things based on those experiences, the examples I just talked about. Those thoughts, we rehearse them over and over again. And when you repeat a thought over and over again, it becomes a belief. A belief is just a rehearsed thought. It's something that you say over and over again. And you subconsciously start to believe it. I'm not good enough. I'm always going to be alone. And those beliefs drive your behavior. I hate dating apps. For example, you can't meet anybody on a dating app. I'm going to use an example, right? So then what happens? You decide to go off the dating app. And then what your behavior is, I'm not doing anything. And then you start to feel like crap because you're alone again. And then you feel like crap because you feel like alone. And then that goes into that identity that I talked about, that collection of all these things that form who you are and how you show up in the world. So I've got why do high achieving women struggle in love? So for the gents on the call, think about your version of this, right? So a lot of women in this space, and for men as well, you learn to earn love, right? I gave you my example of I got good grades and I got on the honor roll, I got attention. I got a pat on the back from my family. If I didn't, I got criticized. So prove, perform, perfect, right? So where is the validation coming from? Is it coming from the career, the money, the things we buy? So who are you without the applause? And the journey that I've been on, the journey I take my clients on is that if somebody's not clapping for you and somebody's not there in a relationship and somebody's not loving you, are you giving those things to yourself? Because that's where it starts. So you built a lot of high achieving women in this space, like me, built a life where I just do everything myself, right? I couldn't let anybody in. I was emotionally unavailable. And that's also what I attracted. And it's the high achievers curse. So a lot of high achievers learn how to succeed because we can work, we can make money, we can buy things, and there's a measure of success in that. But when it comes to matters of the heart, we haven't learned that safety. So now I'm going to talk about the 5 relationship patterns that I see that high achieving women get stuck in. And so for the guys on the call, again, think about what of this relates to you. And it doesn't mean that you're one or the other. You can experience multiple versions of this, right? You can be multiple in multiple patterns. So the strong one, right? I have to be strong. The responsible one, I was the responsible one in my family. It's all on me. The fixer, I have to help everyone. So have any of you entered even relationships where you're the one that's fixing the other person? Okay. I don't know about you, but I don't want a project. The overachiever, we're all achievers here. So earning love through achievement, I've already given you that was huge for me. The independent one who says, I don't need anybody. And then when you get hyper independent, like I was, you just, you put up walls and you start to keep people out. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being responsible or being strong or being a problem solver or having high standards for achievement or being independent. These are all wonderful traits. The issue happens is when you overfunction in these areas and then you become exhausted and you burn out and you're overgiving and maybe you can't say no. You can't set boundaries. I could never set boundaries. I had a hard time getting angry. What kind of a relationship can you have if you don't get angry at the other person? That's not good. So these are patterns. So when they get to the point where they're impacting your life, your health, your relationships, your experiences in a negative manner because you're over functioning, that's when it becomes a problem. So now what I want you to do is just take 2 minutes and just answer this question. I'm going to set my timer here. Who have I had to become in order to succeed in life, right? So, who's that version of you? It doesn't mean it's all bad. I've given you some examples like strong, responsible, independent, self sufficient, caretaker, achiever, perfectionist. So, just take 2 minutes to write some thoughts down. Hopefully, you have a journal or a piece of paper with you. And I'll give you 2 minutes to reflect on that. And just whatever comes up is fine. All right, just maybe 40 more seconds. I'll just continue to give you time to reflect. Okay, amazing. So I hope you had some good nuggets there. So you've had some time to reflect. So which ones are you? So I saw Thea put something in the chat as well. I totally resonated with that. So which patterns sound most like you? And has that helped you in your love life? Has it hurt you? So again, there's nothing wrong with being a fixer or somebody that is independent or strong or responsible, but are those patterns impacting your love life in a negative way? And so the very thing that has helped you succeed in your career and in other areas of your life, that might be what's keeping you stuck in love. So you don't have a love problem, you have a relationship with yourself problem, is what I like to call. We have an identity problem. That's the issue. When we work on the relationship that we have with ourselves and we're able to demonstrate internal self-worth, build love with ourselves and a healthy relationship with ourselves, that automatically will translate to your love life, because how can you give love to another person when you're not giving it to yourself, right? Easier said than done, I know. So this brings me to one of my favorite topics, self-love. So if you want to attract healthy love, that starts with self-love. And this is what we're not taught. We're not taught this at all in our lives. We go through an intentional dating process to go out there and find another person to court and to marry. And we go through that with intention, right? We go on dating apps, but when it comes to ourselves, we don't do that. We go on dates and we have conversations and we discover and get to know another person. But with ourselves, we don't do that. And this is why, especially as we get older, we see a lot of relationships fall apart because people change. And so self-love and having a healthy relationship with yourself is the prerequisite to having a healthy romantic relationship. And so the four pillars that I that are so important in a healthy relationship with yourself are self-love, self-worth, self-trust, and self-care. So self-love is how do I treat myself? So when you make a mistake or you go through a bad breakup or something happens in your life that is not good, how do you treat yourself? What's your inner conversation? Do you berate yourself? Do you judge yourself? Or do you give yourself grace? Self-worth is what you believe about yourself. So I talked about all those beliefs, those rehearsed thoughts. What do I believe about myself? When you believe you're confident, Aisha talked about confidence. When you have this belief, I am confident, that translate, you become more high vibe. And this is about you becoming an energetic match for the person that you're meant to be with. When you believe you're not good enough, when you believe I'm just going to throw out things. Say you believe you don't like the way you look, or you think you're fat, or you don't like your face or your hair, or you don't think you're good at doing something. Anything you say after the word I am, you bring that into reality, right? So this is also about becoming aware of how you talk about yourself. What do I believe about myself? So I'll give you an example. I used to always say when someone asked me if I wanted to go dancing, this is a simple example, I would say, oh, I'm not a dancer. Because I associated dancing with when I was 25, I would go get drunk and go in a club and party till 3 and go dancing. And when I was 25, I could do that. I'm in my 50s now, I don't do that. And so I didn't think I could go dancing because I thought, well, I don't do that. And then I started to reflect on that. I'm like, is that true? And then I realized it was because I was associating with a version of myself that I no longer was. So now I do go dancing, but I do it differently. So when you say I am this, or I'm not this, or I am this, start to pay attention to that because those are your beliefs. So self-trust is, can I rely on myself? So if you want a relationship where you can rely on someone and you can trust another person, can you trust yourself? So if you say you're going to do something, do you do it? I had a lot of people, I had over 20 people register for this masterclass. A lot of those people didn't show up. So I congratulate you for showing up because you did what you said you were going to do. So that was part of the self-image I created was where possible, I'm somebody that if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm not perfect, but that's part of my identity now, is I'm that version of myself. Self-care is what actions you're taking to support myself, right? So I say at the bottom, self-love is not about bubble baths. Self-care is a bubble bath, but really, self-love is about how you show up for yourself every single day. So this is important because this is what forms that identity, the thoughts that you're thinking, the feelings that you're having, the beliefs you're forming, right? The behaviors and the habits, all of that forms your identity. And so when you work on that inner conversation, that belief system, you start to take action to feel self-trust and you do things to take care of yourself. That's how you build a healthy relationship with yourself and that identity. So the shift that you need to make is if you're that high achiever, I do it all myself, I've held myself together, is to go from being self-held to self-loved. So the identity, again, it's who you believe you are. It's how you show up in the world. It's not just a label, it's the thoughts and stories and beliefs that you live from every day. And there's things about your identity that are amazing. There's probably things about your identity that have made you super successful in your career. That's amazing. This is about if you want to attract healthy love, what are the things that you're saying with respect to love about yourself that are causing the results that you're not getting? So for me, let me show you what this looks like as an example, right? I'm a self-held woman, that this was me many years ago at a self-image summit. I look at that picture and I was looking at myself in a mirror, a one-way mirror, and I did not like the version of myself that I saw. And now this isn't about being perfect and looking a certain way. However you are, can you look in the mirror and love the person that you see? All of her imperfections, all of the good things about her. I do everything myself. I carry everything. I have to earn love. I overfunction. I need to protect myself. I struggle to receive. So when people would say, "Oh, you look so pretty today," or "That's a nice dress," I felt guilty. I couldn't just say thank you. Can you receive a compliment? So the next time somebody says, "Oh, you look great. I love that hair," or "I love that whatever," can you just say thank you and zip your mouth and just receive it and see how that feels? Does it feel weird? So I didn't like the version of myself that I saw staring back at me in the mirror. I still, when I look at that picture, it still takes me back to that version of myself. So moving to, I am a self-loved woman. I love myself. I care about myself. I honor myself, right? I receive support. I trust myself. I show up for myself. I have standards. I've elevated my standards. I allow love. And let me go back to the standards. I'm not saying that you don't have standards right now, but are they the standards that you want? Are they the standards that are getting you what you want in your love life? I allow love. I am worthy. I feel safe receiving. Is it safe for you to receive help? Or are you the kind of person that has to do everything on your own? So the version of me that you see on the left looks very different from the version of me that you see on the right. And it's not just about, again, outward appearance. It's not about perfection. It's not about being toxic positivity. It's not about being somebody you're not. This is about being the most aligned, authentic version of you. Because she's in there, he's in there. And that's where the work lies. So now I want to talk about the witness protection program. So when I think about identity, I think about the witness protection program. Let me know if you resonate with that. We've all seen things on TV about some crime show, somebody entering the witness protection program. If you imagine tomorrow that you enter this program and you're told that you need to become the version of you who manifests and who attracts and manifests love into your life, who is that version of you? What would you change? What would you stop doing? Are there things that you're saying to yourself? Are there habits and behaviors that you're doing? What would you start doing? What would you change? So I had to stop I had to stop that inner voice in my head. I had to stop judging other women. I had to stop judging other people. I had to stop letting my thoughts drive my behavior, like my numbing behavior. I stopped drinking. I've been alcohol free for a year and a half. I stopped doing things that weren't good for me. I stopped spending time with certain people because it wasn't making me feel good. I felt like I had to make myself small. What would you allow yourself to receive? So the version of you that has the love you want, she knows she's worthy of it. She's receiving it. She's receiving compliments, right? She's receiving I love you. She's receiving that. So just take 2 minutes. I'm going to set another timer. And I just want you to reflect on that version of you. Even how do they dress? How do they show up? How do they talk to themselves? What things do they say? How's their energy? How do they greet people? How do they view rest? Do they take time to rest? How do they view time? All those things. Use me. About a minute left. Thank you, Aditya. I always sneeze in threes. 30 seconds. So for the guys, it would be the man I need to become is someone who blank. Okay. So the last I'm going to talk about is how do we do this identity transformation? So this is what I take my clients through. I call it the 3 C's of identity transformation, okay? So again, this is not about becoming somebody you're not, right? This is not about changing your name and moving to a new city or your hair color. You can do those things if that supports you, but this is really about becoming the most authentic, aligned version of you, right? The best version of yourself that's living the life she wants, that has the love she wants. So the first C is commitment, where you make a commitment to yourself, right? Just like you would make a commitment, we make a commitment to a partner, right? To marriage. That's a commitment. We say yes, we say I do to somebody. I say yes to me, I choose a new identity. We create that self image, literally. The second C is consistency. So I show up for myself. That's where the self trust is built. That's where the work lies, where you're looking at your thoughts. What am I saying about myself? What am I believing about myself? You're looking at your experiences, you're reflecting, you're doing what you say you're going to do, right? If you say you're somebody that goes to the gym, if that makes you feel better, you do that. And again, all of these things contribute to you being the best version of you, and then ultimately raising your energy to attract the right person. So if you get what I'm saying, this is not a formula to just attract a partner. This is about how do you become the most aligned version of you. And in doing that, you raise your vibration and your energy. So you're happier, you're healthier, you're stronger, you're doing work you love, you're surrounded by good people. And when you're in that space, it's so much easier to attract, and you've done the healing versus doing it from a place of all these negative beliefs like it's not going to work for me or you feel like crap, right? Whenever you're in a bad mood or something, you're feeling angry or you're not at your best, think about what happens to you in those moments. You're not attracting what you want, right? So again, the second C is about consistency and practicing doing the work daily. The third C is about congruence, where you're saying, I live as myself. My actions match who I say I am. So if you're somebody that says, I'm going to go to the gym because I'm a healthy part of your identity is I'm a healthy person. I eat healthy, right? Because if you want to get into a healthy relationship, you want to be as healthy as you can. So if you say you're a healthy person and you're somebody that goes to the gym, is that something you're doing consistently? Are you eating healthy? Or are you just saying it, but you're not living it, right? So commitment, consistency, and congruence, right? This is the process that we go through to really become the version of us that we want to be. And so this isn't about doing more, right? So a lot of us we're high achievers. We know how to do things. It's about becoming her, becoming him, becoming the version of you who lives as if she already has that. Being in that energy, being happy, being in love with yourself, in love with your life. If you've ever had a breakup or if you've gone through a bad relationship and you've tried to go attract somebody from that place, it doesn't work, right? So you always want to put your best foot forward. But again, this is about doing that authentically. So it's about you becoming the most authentic version of you, your higher self. And so a lot of high achieving women and men stay stuck because they try to change their behavior without changing their identity. So if you say, let me give you a simple example, I hate dating apps because you just aren't having any success and you don't like it. And every time you go on a dating app, you start having all these horrible thoughts. There's nobody out there. I don't like this. This is too hard. I can't do this. Or your confidence gets in the way. And then you go off the dating apps until you change your behavior, right? And then you're like, I'm gonna go meet people in person. I don't want to meet somebody on a computer. but you're not changing the thought patterns, your confidence, the part of you that's saying, this isn't going to work for me, there's nobody out there for me, and you're still going out with that same identity and belief system, except you're going on a speed dating event, you're probably going to get the same results. So that's what I'm saying when I say we try to change the behaviors without changing the identity, the thoughts, the belief systems, the habits, the behaviors. So you learn, right? We know how to fix, read, do things, but nothing changes. And so you cannot outperform your identity. You cannot outperform your self-image. Trust me, I've tried. What you believe about yourself, you attract what you believe and what you are, not, and what you expect, not what you want. Let me say that again. You attract who you're being, you attract what you expect, you don't attract what you want. So think about what you're expecting in your love life. If you expect it to be hard, it's going to be hard. If you expect there to be nobody out there, there's going to be nobody out there. So you have to become the most authentic, best version of yourself from the inside. And so when I say become someone new, that's what I'm talking about, right? This isn't about becoming perfect or a version of you that is inauthentic. This is about becoming who you're really meant to be. And the last word that I always want to leave you with is just to know that, because life can teach us different things. And that's the hard part, is that's the programming that we need to unlearn.